The story begins on a warm spring day in the park, with cherry blossoms in full bloom. Amidst the petals and sunshine, a pair sits together, close enough that to any outsider, they don't look anything less than a couple. But our main character is lost in a single thought. Why is the girl next to him covering her face with a paper bag? He wants to know. He also wonders why she is so drenched. Is she a part-time student, full-time waterfall? He's restless to find out everything. Just then, he notices the girl suddenly turn toward him. Startled, he flinches and hesitantly asks if something's wrong. But before he finishes, she lifts her foot off the ground and gestures, saying only one word. Why? He immediately understands. She's asking why he isn't wearing any shoes. Some heroes fight barefoot. This one just forgot socks. But to make sense of all this, we'll have to step back a little in the story. As our hero begins high school, he recalls something he once wrote about finding friends. Words that echo every year. He wonders, 100 friends? 50. Even that feels too many. Math was never his strong suit. 2 or 3 would do. But what if he can't make even one? The thought stings. Kamiyama-san, a sparkling freshman, has one clear goal, to make friends. But that's easier said than done, because he's doing absolutely nothing to achieve it. Just then, he notices a group of girls chatting about the seating arrangement, and as he listens in, something clicks. He finally figures out how to start a conversation. But cutting off his own thoughts, Kamiyama hesitates, thinking that talking to a stranger might be dangerous. What if, just like in the manga he reads, he ends up meeting some kind of demonic person? All these wild thoughts swirl through his head when suddenly, his homeroom teacher makes an announcement, asking everyone to stay attentive for the homeroom session. Hearing this, Kamiyama smirks as he has been waiting for this. He thinks about the usual process, how the homeroom teacher introduces themselves first, followed by the students. That's the moment he plans to strike, to pick out someone approachable. And even if a demon lord is hiding in plain sight, he'll find them, preferably before they assign group projects. And one by one, everyone begins introducing themselves. As Kamiyama hears each classmate's name, he judges their personalities by the sound. With every call, he's reminded his own turn is coming, and it matters. How he presents himself could decide if people befriend him. Then he remembers, in junior high, he never joined a single club. Commitment issues start early. As his turn draws closer, tension builds inside him. How is he going to introduce himself? He grows increasingly nervous, knowing it's his turn right after the girl in front of him. So all he can do now is pray silently, hoping her introduction is simple enough for him to copy. But suddenly, he's a little caught off guard when he lifts his head. His eyes unintentionally land on the girl's figure, and he starts blushing. As she takes the seat in front of him, visibly nervous and hesitating to speak, the teacher glances at the list and gently says her name, Kamiyama, encouraging her to calm down and start with her name. But she's still trembling, and sweat is pouring off her body, dripping all the way down to the seat. She could hydrate a small village. Seeing this, Kamiyama is stunned. What exactly is going on here? Meanwhile, Kamiyama's entire uniform is completely soaked, yet in the middle of it all, she manages to say her name. But during all this, she hesitates so much that she ends up stuttering through her name, finally managing to state her name. And the moment Kamiyama hears her voice and the way she speaks, he starts to feel something strange stir inside him too. Seeing her in this state, drenched in sweat, Kamiyama is completely shocked. His brain can't process it. Just thinking about how nervous the girl in front of him must be is enough to cause him pain. And on top of that, where is all this liquid even coming from? Just then, the teacher gently points out that she hasn't said her first name yet and kindly asks if she could also remove the paper bag covering her face. A request Kamiyama secretly hopes for too. But again, Kamiyama falls into hesitation. Gathering some courage, she softly apologizes and explains that she's feeling too nervous to take it off. Watching this, Kamiyama is even more confused. He knows shy people usually wear hats or keep their heads down, but covering the whole face with a paper box? Kamiyama is somehow grabbing even more attention. Stealth clearly isn't her strong trait. Meanwhile, she stands frozen, unable to speak, sweat pouring down her face. Seeing her in this state, he immediately stands up from his seat and shouts that it's clear Kamiyama is struggling a lot during her introduction, so he wants to take his turn instead. As he begins introducing himself, Kamiyama turns to look back at him, and even now, sweat keeps pouring from her. After finishing his introduction, he tells the teacher he's done, to which she praises him and thanks him. Then it's the next student's turn. While she begins her introduction, Kamanato notices Kamiyama still standing, so he whispers to her that she should sit down now. And the moment she does, a splash hits Kamanato straight in the face, just like a nature's free facial treatment as a first-day gift. A little while later, the introduction session ends, and the teacher tells everyone to keep their stationery ready. Meanwhile, Kamanato thinks he let all of that go in one ear and out the other. He sees the rest of his classmates already forming groups with each other, while he just sits there after giving a dull introduction. He wonders if making friends will always remain just a dream for him. For our boy, dreams are cheaper anyway, especially this one. Just then, Kamiyama suddenly turns and looks at him. Kamanato is surprised. She tries to say something to him, but he doesn't understand. He tells her that water even got into his ear, so could she please speak a little more clearly and repeat what she's trying to say? She clears her throat again, looks at Kamanato, and blushes deeply. Blushing? Nah, it's the universal Wi-Fi signal of anime romance. Then she thanks him sincerely, saying his gesture really helped her a lot. As she speaks, she holds both of Kamanato's hands in gratitude. Then, suddenly overcome with embarrassment, she quickly turns away and sits back down. He's left completely stunned, and after what just happened, he wonders what exactly Kamiyama just did to him. Looking into her eyes, he thinks to himself, she's way prettier than any demon lord. Though she seems like a nice person, there's no way he could befriend her. But then, glancing down at his hands, he notices the deep marks from her tight grip and the sweat still clinging to them. As Kamanato looks at Kamiyama sitting right in front of him, he feels like there's a mountain before him, a mountain he might want to climb, yet he hesitates to take on the challenge, and this mountain feels incredibly intimidating. Just then, he notices Kamiyama's body trembling slightly when a student walks up to her and asks if she can call her by her first name. Watching this, Kamanato starts thinking that a fearless fighter has already arrived to climb the mountain. Some people collect stamps. This one collects social anxiety challenges. The girl introduces herself as Arai, and not Arai. She asks Kamiyama if she'd like to hang out with them. Hearing this, Kamiyama hesitates in surprise and softly repeats the word, hang out. The phrase sounds like a foreign language to her ears, but she's terrible at talking to people. Arai reassures her that it's not a problem, she'll get used to it, and Kamiyama can definitely join them. Kamanato finds Arai convincing, but Kamiyama only says she can't talk. Arai assures her it's fine, she can just come along, and notes the other girls are welcoming too. Kamanato holds his head, knowing this will be tough for Kamiyama, and apparently even tougher for the guy sitting behind her. He further thinks that doing all this with Kamiyama is like dragging a vampire into sunlight, just because you think it might be healthy for them. Spoiler, it's not healthy for either of them, and after all that, he knows deep down he's praying Kamiyama doesn't get caught up in this. Meanwhile, Arai notices her messy ribbon and begins adjusting her uniform. While fixing her uniform, Arai tells her that since they'll be in high school for 3 years, she should wear her uniform properly. They need to respect it. Then she asks Kamiyama if she feeds her uniform regularly, and even adds that she should take it out for a walk twice a day. Hearing this, Kamanato is completely stunned. His brain just filed for temporary leave. He wonders where this conversation is even going. Arai notices him, walks over, and recalling his name, asks what kind of meal his uniform prefers. He didn't mishear. How can such nonsense come from a girl who looks smart? Maybe even a class president? Proof that appearances have zero HR screening. Not knowing how to respond, Kamanato simply tells her that his uniform doesn't like to eat much. At that, Arai clarifies further. By feed, she means how he fixes his uniform. After hearing this, Kamanato starts to understand a little. But then, Arai steps even closer and asks if he also takes his uniform for walks. Hearing this, Kamanato is once again completely stunned. Stunned is now our boy's default setting. Arai comes over and says they should really think about how often they walk their uniform. It's worth discussing. As she speaks, Kamanato glances at the rest of her group. Their expressions are like warning signs saying, stay away, danger zone. But maybe Kamanato's already in it. Congratulations. Welcome to the Danger Club. He thinks he really needs to get out of here. It would be better for him. Just then, Arai grabs Kamiyama's hand, and in trying to pull away, Kamiyama suddenly jumps from her seat. Her chair crashes into the desk behind, and in the process, Kamanato's hand gets injured. She grows nervous, drenched in sweat, bowing and apologizing to Kamanato, her sweat pouring on his face like a waterfall. He says he's fine, but when she spots the wound on his hand, she panics. Grabbing his collar, she shouts for medical help, lifts him onto her shoulder, and bolts from the classroom like a fighter jet. Passenger boarding was not optional. She runs through the halls with Kamanato slung over her shoulder, ignoring his repeated protests that he doesn't need to go to the nurse's office. The only word she keeps muttering is nurse. Realizing she's not listening, he gives up. As she charges ahead, students turn to stare, and all Kamanato can feel is a wave of utter embarrassment. After a short while, he notices Kamiyama's steps slowing down, and then he realizes she's taken him outside the school. He looks around and figures out they've ended up behind the gym. Kamiyama simply apologizes and hesitantly admits that she forgot the way. GPS clearly wasn't installed in this jet engine powered by social anxiety. Kamanato, trying to stay calm, just asks her once again to please put him down. As she finally puts him down, Kamanato holds out his hand to show her. She can see for herself he doesn't need any treatment. He tells her they should head back to class. But at that moment, she becomes so nervous that random words start spilling from her mouth, and he instantly realizes something about Kamiyama's condition doesn't seem right. He sees her struggling a lot because of her paper bag mask and tells her to take it off. It might be making it hard for her to breathe. But she refuses, saying she'll handle everything on her own, and he doesn't need to do anything. Kamiyama steps a little away, turning her face to the side. She's trembling badly, and sweat is pouring from her. Watching her like this, he can't help but wonder, what exactly happened that made Kamiyama this way? Just then, she grabs the bag and starts to remove it, and Kamanato watches closely, full of curiosity. Suddenly, with both hands, she rips off the paper bag, tearing it apart. The shredded pieces fall away, revealing Kamiyama's head. Her elegant hair comes into view, and the moment Kamanato sees her hair, her overall appearance, he's instantly overwhelmed with shock. Plot twist. She actually has a head under there, and within seconds, she pulls out another paper bag, tosses it into the air, and swiftly places it over her head. Like a superhero snapping back into form, she returns to her usual state in an instant. Batman has the cape, she has the bag. She huffs, "Good thing I had a spare, or I would have died." Kamanato just stares, words fail him. Kamiyama, unfazed, tilts her head. "Why are you looking at me like that?" He asks if she always carries an extra paper bag on her head. She nods, explaining that when she gets nervous, the old one gets ruined. Naturally, he asks if she must wear it. She simply explains that she has to wear the mask. Hearing her answer, he reflexively chuckles a little. Worried, Kamiyama asks if she said something weird. He apologizes for laughing, saying her answer was so dignified it caught him off guard, and that's why it slipped out. Still, he knows that the way Kamiyama switched her paper bag was actually pretty cool. While he's lost in thought, he suddenly notices Kamiyama looking his way. Their eyes meet, and with a quick jolt of surprise, they both awkwardly shift their gaze away. Just then, the class bell rings, signaling the start of the next period. And they know they have to get back to class now, because nothing kills mystery faster than math class. By the time they reach the classroom, they see the teacher already there as the homeroom has begun. Apparently, punctuality is for people who didn't get stuck in fictional emergencies. Now sitting with their backs straight, both think how this scene feels nerve-wracking for them, and of course, even more so for Kamiyama. He thinks the longer they linger outside the class, the worse it will get for them. He approaches Kamiyama, telling her he will go first, and she just needs to quietly follow behind. Kamiyama assures him she will give her best. He explains that if the teacher asks anything, they will simply give a straightforward reason and head inside. As he opens the door, he plans to act normal, but seeing so many students facing him, he suddenly panics. Stage fright now has front row seats. In his panic, he blurts out a strange excuse about how a desk got stuck between their fingers, which is why they were trapped, and so on and so forth. Even his brain wants to unsubscribe from this conversation. By the end of it, Kamiyama is also sweating, but the teacher tells him to calm down. Arai has already explained the situation, so they can quietly take their seats. Kamiyama hesitates, starting to give her own excuse, but Kamanato comes over and tells her she can also just head to her seat. As he passes by, he thanks Arai. After homeroom ends, Kamanato feels like, even though only a few hours have passed, so much has happened it might as well have been months. Apparently, today is a group project and embarrassment. Then his eyes follow a trail of sweat on the floor, drop after drop leading away. Seeing it, he wonders if Kamiyama might actually be a water goblin. But then he hears a sound, which throws him off even more. The moment he sees Kamiyama, he panics, because that sound is coming from her paper bag mask, now completely soaked through. It's like watching a sponge give up on life. At the same time, she's clearly struggling to breathe. She does pull out a spare mask, but now there's another problem. She leans her head forward, trying to catch a breath, but Kamanato wonders why she hasn't just changed her mask. Then, seeing the whole class, he realizes she's already felt embarrassed in front of everyone. Now that the mask is soaked through, he needs to find a solution fast, or Kamiyama might just suffocate right there. Suddenly, he pulls out a bag he bought for stationery, but the website had sent a much bigger size than he needed. It had been useless for its original purpose, until now. He lifts it and places it over Kamiyama's face, thinking she might finally get some relief. But once it's on her head, the bag looks comically huge, leaving him stunned. She now looks like a mysterious grocery item. He hadn't realized it was that big. After all this, he notices Kamiyama looking like she's about to burst from embarrassment. And that's the polite version of panic attack in progress. Suddenly, she hurriedly tears that bag apart, and from her own desk, puts a fresh paper bag over her head. Seeing this, Kamanato is surprised. Kamiyama now looks 100 times better. Just then, she turns back to thank him, and he tells her to face forward so the rest of the class won't notice. Suddenly, he spots a flash of light from somewhere in the room, trying to figure out what it is. Still, he's relieved that for the rest of the class time, Kamiyama seems much more stable, and the problem doesn't return. School time ends, and everyone starts packing up, ready for the bell. Kamanato, feeling drained, just wants to head home and rest. In the meantime, he notices some students leading in pairs like they've been close since day one. Watching them makes him a little jealous. After all, that's always been his dream. Envy now sits in the chair next to him. He starts imagining having a girl best friend who'd ask him to walk home together after school, and if he refused, she'd cling to him, promising to do whatever he wanted. But he quickly blows the thought away, telling himself it'll probably stay just that, a daydream, and he doesn't believe anything like that would ever really happen. He suddenly senses a bit of warmth nearby, and when he turns, he sees what looks like a kappa, only to realize it's actually Kamiyama-san. She crawls toward him, thanking him for all the help he gave her today. Kamanato tells her she doesn't need to and should just stay put, but she tightens the grip on his leg, insisting she really wants to do this. After that, she thanks him sincerely and adds she could do anything for him, if it's for Kamanato. Hearing this, he suddenly touches his face, wondering if this girl is really saying she could do anything for him. Is this really happening to him? He knows he can't enjoy this much with the class whispering about why Kamiyama's bending in front of him. At this rate, he'll be the bad guy, so he casually tells her to just bring him a juice can next time. She repeats the word juice, jumps up, and with her grip still on his leg, flips him upside down. She then announces that she'll buy him juice. She loads him onto her shoulder, though he protests. Without warning, she dashes off, repeating only one thing, that she'll get him juice. The class starts whispering again, thinking this is the same girl who ran off with him earlier, and outside the school, she keeps running without slowing, while Kamanato remains utterly confused. He wonders if he's really heading home from school with a girl. Achievement unlocked. Accidental rom-com protagonist. It feels like his dream has come true, but seeing the way things are unfolding, he can only say it like that. After a while, she takes him to a park and sits him on a bench. Lying there, he stares up at the sky, which looks beautiful. Then he feels a cold juice can touch his forehead. Kamiyama sets it there and, hesitating, tells him it's his. He grabs it and thanks her. The whole situation feels like a scene from a couple's day out. He didn't even get to choose the juice flavor, but it still feels nice. Just then, Kamiyama slightly lifts the paper bag from her head, and as she drinks, Kamanato's eyes widen, stunned by how beautiful she looks. Plot twist. Hydration is now a dramatic reveal. Then, just as suddenly, she lowers the paper bag again. A brief silence settles between them. Then Kamiyama's gaze drops to his feet. His shoes are missing. She lifts his foot slightly, asking where they went. Kamanato explains they were left behind at school. Looking a bit worried, Kamiyama admits she didn't mean to but somehow caused trouble, while he reassures her it's nothing like that. In the flow of conversation, Kamanato thanks her for the juice and notes that now she doesn't owe him anything. Kamiyama admits the day felt awkward for her, and she hadn't wanted it to go this way. Nervously, she squeezes the juice can so hard it completely crushes, leaving Kamanato stunned. Somewhere, physics literally files a personal complaint. All the while, she's saying she somehow caused trouble, and Kamanato asks how she usually keeps her state under control. She tells him that once she gets used to everything, it will all become much easier because she wants to spend her high school life with friends. Meanwhile, Kamanato wonders if this is just nervousness or something else. He also tells her she shouldn't give up so quickly, adding that he'll support her in this. She thanks him for that. He admits he's not great at this himself, so Kamiyama says she'll also give him proper support in making friends. They get caught up in their conversation and notice they're no longer feeling nervous around each other. For Kamiyama, finding others like this is still difficult, but in that moment, both of them realize something. They both notice they've started talking to each other far more casually, and Kamiyama is surprised she's speaking so normally. Character development speedrun, 0 to friendship in record time. The same thought crosses both their minds, what this might mean when a drunk man suddenly steps between them like an unexpected plot twist and says they're already friends. Hearing that, both of them instantly start to blush. They both turn to look at him, wondering what he's even talking about, but the man just walks off. Hearing his words, Kamanato admits he never knew high school could have moments this absurd, while Kamiyama is left wondering, are they really already friends? But he stands up, saying it'll only be true if Kamiyama herself wants it. She instantly agrees. He stands up, shakes her hand, and says they should properly become friends now. After that, Kamanato, despite his different imaginations, ends his day fulfilling his dream on his very first day of school. Saying this, she looks visibly troubled, tears welling in her eyes, as she admits she feels she'll have to participate in high school the same way, remaining just a ghost member. Seeing this, both Kamanato and Arai grow concerned, wishing sincerely for Kamiyama to truly enjoy her high school life, because surviving it shouldn't be the only goal. Kamanato begins wondering what solution he can find for this, since every instrument Kamiyama touches ends up destroyed. Is there a club she could join without feeling nervous or causing such mishaps? Just then, Arai notices Kamiyama staring in surprise at some students sitting across from them. As Arai comes over, she sees Kamiyama staring at a girl who radiates confidence. Kamiyama, in her heart, wishes she could talk the way that girl does. Everything about her seems perfect, her crisp uniform, her natural originality, her flawless skin. Watching her stirs a deep longing inside Kamiyama. At the same moment, a spark of an idea flashes in Kaminato's mind. This is rarer than a solar eclipse. Kamanato turns to Arai, suggesting they create their own club if none exists. Kamiyama and Arai stare at him in surprise. He explains his vision, a place where Kamiyama would never feel nervous, a new club shaped entirely by their own idea. Hearing the idea, Arai quickly pulls out her diary, remembering a page that outlines exactly how to create a club and the procedure to follow. Kamanato is surprised at how prepared she is, but she simply says that now they're friends, they have to do this, especially for Kamiyama. The real challenge now is deciding their club activities and figuring out what unique thing their club can offer. They discuss what the club should be, something fresh, easy, and inclusive. After a long stretch of thinking, nothing comes to mind. Brainstorming has downgraded to brain drizzle. Kamiyama apologizes, but they hush her, reminding her they're friends and will come up with something together. At that moment, Kamanato thinks to himself, if they talk about friendship, then chatting, communicating, simply having conversations isn't troublesome at all. It's something fresh, and everyone would be willing to practice it. Suddenly, he shares his idea with them. They could start a conversation club. Finally, a club with zero equipment to break. And he asks what they think about it. After hearing Kaminato's idea, both girls look at him in surprise, and now clearly surprise is their default facial setting. He explains that Arai's concept, talking means being friends, is a stretch, but becoming friends without talking is impossible. He goes on about the importance of conversation skills needed throughout life. Internally, he hopes for a peaceful life if Arai and Kamiyama could talk normally, so he emphasizes the importance of refining this skill. Arai pauses, thinking deeply. Arai suddenly moves close to Kamanato, telling him his idea is amazing because conversation is very important. Personal space is now officially a myth. Kamanato, meanwhile, wonders if she even understands the meaning of personal space. Arai then asks Kamiyama for her opinion. She praises the idea as a good way to polish her skills through talking to others. They all agree on it, and Kamanato says everyone should cooperate for this work. Kamiyama turns her face away and quietly thanks both, while Kamanato notices he can't see her face because of her paper bag, yet knows she's happy. Her gratitude level is high, but her eye contact level remains 0. He then asks if, once her nervousness is gone, she will stop using that paper bag. Hearing this, she starts sweating and suddenly covers her paper bag with both hands, saying she can't take it off because it's too embarrassing for her, which is ironic because wearing it is already a bold fashion choice. They all laugh a little, then head together to the staff room. There, they propose their idea, and the teachers show great appreciation, thinking it's good. But the teachers ask them to redo their idea. Arai, surprised, asks why. The teacher explains that they need at least 4 members to start the club, but they currently have 3, so they must go back and add 1 more person. Recruitment suddenly feels less like a hobby and more like a quest. Hearing this, they feel a bit frustrated, but Arai asks Kamiyama if he has any friends to invite. A flashback strikes him, and he apologizes, saying he doesn't know anyone to join. Arai has the same problem. Her friends already picked clubs. Finding members for the conversation club is hard. Apparently, no one dreams of extra small talk. Then Kamiyama hesitantly says she might know someone, surprising everyone. Kamiyama looks a bit surprised, thinking Kamiyama must have made other friends too. Then Arai says they should invite her quickly before she joins another club. They all hurry off. When Kamiyama spots the person, she stops and tells Arai. Arai asks which one, and Kamiyama points out the girl standing in a pink cardigan. A cardigan so pink it practically has its own personality. Watching the girl talk, Kamiyama thinks Kamiyama's made a good friend, and Arai recalls seeing her in the hall. But Kamiyama admits she doesn't know her, surprising everyone. She apologizes, saying the girl just seemed perfect for their conversation club. Apparently, perfect candidates now include total strangers. They watch the girl talking to her friend A-chan. Arai suggests Kamiyama go speak to her, but Kamiyama panics, refusing because she's with her friend, using friend loosely. Arai thinks adding members isn't always good, but Kamiyama notices something. Kamiyama thinks that the girl is the only one actually talking because she doesn't give her friends a chance to speak. He watches as the girl steps outside with her friend. The girl notices them and says something to her friend about a weird boy nearby, suggesting they should leave. But when her friend steps forward, Kamiyama sees he's not walking on feet but on tires, and her friend looks like a very 2D person. As her friend steps forward, they see that she is actually a 2D panel, the one the girl has been talking to all this time. Somehow that's still better at listening than half the student body. Seeing this, Kamiyama and Arai suddenly become very stunned, unable to believe what they're witnessing. Kamiyama didn't expect such a big twist. Kamiyama comments on how impressive it is that she's able to talk to a piece of wood, and he concludes that she clearly wouldn't be a bad fit for the club. He then turns toward Arai, but she's still offline, probably stunned. That leaves him with no choice but to go himself. He approaches, gathering his courage. After introducing himself, he asks if she's willing to listen to what he has to say. But Kamineto's words don't have any effect. Suddenly, a shock beam literally shoots from the girl's eyes, passing right by Kaminato. Seeing this, he is completely stunned. The girl tells her friend A-chan that whenever she talks to boys, a beam like this comes out of her eye, a truly efficient way to end unwanted conversations instantly. Kaminato can't believe any of it. He goes to Kamiyama and tells her that his visit was useless and Arai is still offline, so now he has to go himself. Hearing this, Kamiyama becomes even more nervous, but, with no other option, she decides to go. Slowly, she steps forward as if heading into a battle. Her weapon of choice, awkward energy at maximum setting. Now Kamiyama stands nervously behind him, unsure what to say or not say. Because of her height, she lifts her face from above and places her sweat-soaked bag in front of the girl, nervously asking if she will join their conversation club. Even Kaminato feels a bit unsettled by Kamiyama's tense energy. The girl says she dislikes people constantly inviting her to clubs. Kamiyama returns, saying it didn't help, but Kaminato insists he tried and thinks she'd be perfect for their club. Arai decides to take matters into her own hands. Kaminato feels relieved as she's back in action. She says they'll need to work together. It's starting to feel like a boss fight, with the reward being slightly better small talk. Arai approaches the girl and tells her she wants to join her conversation. The girl says she doesn't want to talk to A-chan. Arai clarifies that she isn't here to talk to A-chan, but to talk to her. Hearing this, the girl blushes angrily, while Kaminato watches them from a distance, and Arai waits for the girl's reply. When the girl doesn't respond, she turns to her team and says that talking to her didn't help. From a distance, her team starts giving advice by writing on cardboard signs. Following their suggestions, Arai goes back to the girl and says she wants to talk. As they continue talking, the girl grows even more panicked, clearly overwhelmed by the situation. On the last sign, it states that Arai should deliver the finishing blow. Seeing this, Arai grabs the girl's chin and holds her in a pose as if they're the only two people, like a couple. She tells the girl that only her existence can save them, which is quite a lot to drop on someone mid-school day. But honestly, Arai's idea of personal space is truly weird. The girl, now very nervous and drenched in sweat, reveals that her name is Amano Harusame and asks how she can be of help. After that, the whole team becomes happy, and Arai introduces Amano to the rest of their friends. The girl recites names, Arai, Kamiyama, and when she says Kaminado's, a laser beam of eye contact grazes his temples. Eye contact has never been this hazardous. He wonders why, since he hadn't spoken. Then Arai approaches, pointing out that, as they are all friends, how does joining the club sound? Amano wonders when they even became friends. Kamiyama happily says talking very well with her panel is quite interesting, and invite her to join once more. Amano blushes a little, gains confidence, and remarks that she feels her conversational skills are quite good and that she really likes the conversation club idea. Hearing this, everyone becomes genuinely happy. But suddenly, Amano sets a condition: she can't join the same club as a man. Hearing this, Kamado is very surprised, and this becomes a new problem for them, because every club needs drama to feel truly official. Now the situation is going downhill, because Amano will only join the club if there are no males in it. Apparently, this is now a gender-exclusive networking event. This hits Kamado like an arrow, and as soon as he hears it, he becomes visibly worried. Seeing him like this, Kamiyama also starts to look a little upset, perhaps because of Kamado. She asks Amano to explain, but she grows nervous and blushes. Kamado listens curiously. She claims that the reason is simple: boys are impossible for her, like mythical creatures or age support. Then she blurts out that boys just start talking straight away. Kamado, standing there, wonders if a person's gender could really be the reason. Then, all of a sudden, a beam shoots out from Amano's eyes again, narrowly missing Kamado. Her version of "I'm uncomfortable" comes with visual effects. She quickly covers her eyes, and Kamado stands there thinking that he has to do something before these beams kill him. But now, he can't even talk to her. Arai remarks to Amano that she's cute, which makes things troublesome for her. Shocked, Amano asks her to defriend A-chan if it's really all because of her cuteness. While she's still questioning it, Arai suggests a rule where she and Kamado don't talk directly. Kamado protests, but Arai says he can manage with eye contact, because nothing says comfortable like prolonged staring. And before the conversation even ends, another beam suddenly fires toward Kamado. Her trigger discipline is non-existent. He jumps in surprise and asks why she launched the beam now. He was talking to Arai, not her. Hearing this, Amano looks shocked, then makes a sad face and quietly steps aside. Seeing her expression, Kamado is left puzzled, wondering what all of this means. Arai tells Kamado this isn't good. It might make Amano cry, and they want her smiling, as if the eye lasers weren't already a red flag. Kamado wonders how that's possible when a beam fires at the slightest talk. Arai apologizes to Amano, saying she understands that the beam appeared because she was cut off. Hearing this, she lowers her gaze, blushing with a hint of sadness. Arai steps closer to Amano, stating she welcomes the beam but will make her electromagnetic armor. Personal space violations are becoming a lifestyle. Amano jumps, and Kamiyama steps forward to speak, but unintentionally squeezes her hands hard, leaving marks. Kamiyama apologizes, but Kamado knows this will only make things worse. His last option now is to make Amano smile with some of his own made-up jokes, so he drops an alga joke: how can algebra be made better? By eating algae brew. Literally, some jokes are so bad they circle back to becoming nuclear-grade funny. Hearing this, the rest of them fall completely silent at his ridiculous joke, while Amano bursts into laughter so hard that she can't stop herself. He is surprised that his joke actually worked, but then Amano suddenly grabs him by the collar and demands to know why he is saying things like that all of a sudden, because if she hates men, then she would definitely hate jokes told by men as well. Saying this, she turns away and stands there, while Kamado starts thinking about giving it another try. He jokes that algae lovers think a monk buys algae from a bulgy man, certain it'll land with Amano, but she tells him to shut up. Embarrassed, he lowers his head, feeling humiliated. Then Arai points out she's been holding back laughter. Kamyama starts chanting Alga Bulgi rhythmically, and Amano finally bursts out laughing. Alga is now her universal language. She starts laughing loudly, repeating the lines from his jokes, and Kamyama realizes that his jokes are indeed working. All of this has made Amano start laughing much sooner than he expected, and she even playfully asks if the depraved monk actually managed to buy the alga. Kamyama answers with a no, and hearing that, Amano curiously asks why not. He says the monk started taking baths in sea alga. Amano repeats it, laughing loudly and covering her face. Then Kamiyama tells Kamyama she thought it was death at the sea instead of bath. Surprising him, he always heard bath, while Amano is equally puzzled. And just then, Arai takes on the role of a judge, blows a whistle, and announces that she wants to make a judgment. She points out that not a single beam came from Amano while she was talking to Kamyama, and that their conversation was actually on a likable topic, filled with smiles. All of this, Arai concludes, means that the two of them have already become friends. Kamyama refuses, saying he's fine as things are. Amano insists it's not like that, but if they come this far, she's fine being friends, and joining the club, since she wanted to join with A-chan anyway. Hearing this, Arai once again ignores her personal space, leans in close, and instructs her to write down her name in class. Kamiyama approaches Kamyama, but he speaks first, saying he's happy the conversation club can be established. She says her heart feels full, club activities were always a fantasy, and he made it real. When he asks about her other dreams, she says she can't reveal them. Removing the paper bag from her face would be one. Still, she's happy he fulfilled one dream without her taking it off. She tells Kamyama he's a hero, the kind whose powers are mostly accidental. Surprised, he shyly says he's no hero, just someone who helps friends anytime they're in trouble. Hearing this, Kamiyama also freezes in place. Kamyama, looking toward Kamiyama, thinks to himself that because of this paper bag, he can't see her face or her expressions, but his eyes have already imagined all of it, and that alone feels overwhelmingly cool to him. Apparently, paper bags can double as mystery amplifiers. After countless hardships, near-death moments, and bothersome trials, Kamyama finally reaches his destination, the start of their conversation club. He expects a medal but settles for a chair. Except for Arai, everyone's shy or strange, yet somehow the club is established. Barely. Arai then tells everyone that she is about to announce the club's first activity. Dramatic pause included for maximum suspense. Meanwhile, they hear that Amano is busy talking alone with A-chan about shopping. Kamyama asks Arai if this activity will work, and she replies that it's fine and he has to do his best. But then Kamyama suddenly remembers he hasn't seen Kamiyama, which is rarely a good sign. Just moments ago she was there. People don't usually evaporate. He searches the classroom and, opening the cupboard, is surprised to find Kamiyama inside. Hesitantly, she says it's her first club activity, so she's nervous. The cupboard is apparently her panic room. He tells her to come out, and as soon as she steps out, he tells Amano that he would like to begin their first activity. Volunteering people is his specialty. Amano, while talking to A-chan, begins acting as if she feels like some trash is talking to her, and she reluctantly agrees to his request. Kamyama finds her behavior quite irritating. Irritating like a mosquito you can't swat. Kamyama suggests starting their first activity with a normal conversation and asks for ideas. Kamiyama grows more nervous, while Amano suspects he's planning something perverted. He sets a voting box on the table, telling them to write and submit ideas. Democracy, made to look weird. Everyone does exactly that, and now he pulls out the first slip. It reads, "Bad things about Kamyama. Short list, probably." He immediately realizes Amano must have written it, and she shouts that it wasn't her, but at the same time says it could actually be a good idea, since it's a good conversation topic. Still, she insists it wasn't her who did it. He tears it up, saying he rejects it. Just then, she shouts that she had written her feelings, and he immediately signals to her that now he knows for sure she was the one who wrote it. He pulls out the next slip, and this time he's surprised to see it says JAS Standards of Uniform, which was actually written by Arai. Now he asks what JAS means, and she explains that it stands for Japanese Industrial Standards. After that, her talking mode switches on, and she begins speaking rapidly, not pausing at all. Kamyama tells her to hold on, that she should slow down because this topic isn't suitable for the first activity, while Arai had thought everyone would enjoy it. He draws the next slip, thinking that so far no good idea has come up, so he decides to take out all the slips at once, only to find that they all have strange ideas written on them. Apparently, normal ideas are extinct here. They still haven't found a good topic, while Amano thinks there might still be something left in the box. She picks it up and starts shaking it. She turns the box over, and a wet, mangled piece of paper falls out like pulp. They stare, thinking the box is spitting pulp, but Kamiyama hides her face, saying she was nervous. Some people sweat. She makes paper soup. Kamanato says there's no good reason for it, and when Amano asks if they rate his idea, he replies that it seemed normal, so he didn't mention it. Amano laughs, calling Kamanato a trash small fry and useless Minato. He thinks dumb Minato would have worked better, and she quietly writes it down, modifying insults for later. He realizes she's not bad at talking, just hiding something. Then Kamiyama asks what ideas he had in mind. He suggests topics like introductions, favorite food, and subject. The others seem surprised, and he wonders if no one thought of that. He shifts today's activity to this, starting with himself. Favorite subject, math. Favorite foods, curry and Hamburg steaks. Truly a man of groundbreaking taste. Arai is quite surprised to hear that he likes math, while Amano laughs, saying that even grade schoolers don't like his favorite food these days. Kamanato explains that with math, he doesn't need to rely on memory, and as for the food, it's just super basic stuff. He then asks Amano what she likes, which makes her panic a bit, and she blurts out pasta and parfaits, adding that it's because she's a girl. Kamanato realizes Amano is naming foods starting with pay. She blurts out she likes pa foods, and he jokingly mentions panties. Without thinking, she adds them to the list, but after realizing, she instantly blames Kamanato, who's laughing while the room pretends not to hear. Arai asks if they're cotton or nylon, and Amano insists she doesn't eat them. As Amano continues, Kamiyama asks what she wants right now. Amano freezes, lost in thought, slipping into dramatic life flashbacks with slow motion and unnecessary background music. She panics, scrambling in her mind for what to say, while Kamiyama gently adds that if she doesn't want to answer, she doesn't have to. But now, feeling nervous and shy, Amano hides her face and quietly says that she wants friends. Somewhere in the corner of her mind, she imagines this moment being broadcast to the entire school, with subtitles. Everyone looks at her in surprise as she admits she's never made friends and hoped to change that in high school. But when she met classmates while buying books, she couldn't talk to them. She can't speak to strangers on first meetings. A social butterfly, if butterflies feared flowers, she grows sad. She thought it would be nice to have someone her own age to hang out with and mess around with. Then, one day, she met A-chan, and she liked her a lot. Ever since then, she's been sticking by her side. She befriended A-chan, and her anxiety faded. She could talk to classmates, but none felt like true friends. Knowing someone's favorite snack isn't soulmate level. Kamanato understands her story, and Amano says having A-chan means she's not friendless, so they shouldn't worry. After Kamiyama brightens a little, she tells Amano that she's not that good at talking to people either, but she can understand how Amano feels, and now they're all friends. Amano replies that it's not really like that, but Kamiyama says she thought it was. Amano thinks for a moment, then clarifies that if that's the case, she can't refuse Kamiyama. Crying, Amano announces she'll make Kamiyama her second friend after A-chan. Somewhere, A-chan's probably updating her best friend title. Kamiyama beams and thanks her, while Kamanato and Arai exchange looks, realizing they'd assumed everyone was already friends. Turns out, friendship has more fine print than a phone contract. Wiping her tears, Amano asks if they didn't just say she only needed to join the club. Kamanato and Arai glance at each other, then extend their hands, offering her their friendship. Amano hesitated briefly, then shakes their hands, a spark of hope in her heart. She's weighing the pros and cons like she's about to buy a house instead of making 2 new friends. Then Amano steps forward and grabs both their hands, and from that day on, their day becomes irreplaceable. After that, they all hold hands and start dancing happily together, as if a cheap singer in the background is sitting by himself, singing a friendship theme song using a broom instead of a guitar, celebrating their friendship in his own quirky way. The school bell rings and the children dive into their lunches. Kamanato feels a surge of relief. Finally, it's lunchtime. For him, lunch is less a meal and more a sacred ceremony. Just as he's about to open his lunchbox, something catches his eye. Kamiyama is standing right beside him. She literally carried her whole desk over, setting it down in place of a chair as if it's her personal throne. She wants to eat lunch with him. Kamanato finds her words a little surprising, yet he agrees. Just then, Arai notices and hurries over, wanting to join. Arai notices the pattern on Kamiyama's bento and inquires about it, curious about the character it depicts and whether she likes it. Kamiyama nods, explaining it's a bear because in real life, bears are strong and terrifying, but as characters, they're adorable, and she loves that contrast. It's the world's only safe way to hug a bear without losing an arm. Arai mentions that the trend started with a teddy bear picture book. Kamanato chimes in, admitting he enjoys anything fluffy, including teddy bears. Kamiyama suddenly wonders aloud if she'd look cute if she were fluffy. Her words prompt both Arai and Kamanato to imagine a real-like version of her. Kamanato advises her to abandon that idea. Just then, a stir of chatter ripples through the classroom. It feels like trouble is brewing. In this classroom, that's practically the daily forecast. Only Amano and A-chan are present, weaving through the crowd to approach them, ignoring everyone else. Kamanato remarks to Kamiyama that this spot used to be hers, but now the crowd parts for A-chan. After entering the classroom, Amano acts as if her presence is coincidental, prompting Kamanato to think she should drop the pretense. She approaches A-chan to discuss the homework, then mimics A-chan's voice to confirm it's done. She adds that she'll copy it, only to mimic again, insisting she do it herself. Their playful back and forth leaves Kamanato marveling at his magical friend. Now standing with them, Amano speaks while subtly sniffling, her eyes slightly teary. Kamanato, surprised, assumes her distress stems from homework troubles and wonders what kind of assignments she even gets. Trembling slightly, she wonders if she's part of the conversation club. As she hasn't been invited to lunch, which stings, she continues chatting with A-chan, and Kamanato finally notices she's been hiding her lunch behind her hands. Amano, sinking deeper into gloom, blames Kamanato, threatening to kill him. Kamanato muses that even if he's innocent, her murderous glare could end him. Death by stare, hardly a heroic demise. Shielding himself, Kamanato invites Amano to join them. She instantly appears beside Kamiyama, as if teleporting. Standing there, she declares that since they're so insistent, she'll graciously join them, framing it as a favor after her freedom. Kamanato marvels at how quickly her explanations shift. Arai inquires about Amano's lunch. She describes one sandwich with pickled radish, another with chikuwa and potato, surprising Kamanato. Blushing, she insists it's tasty and stylish, offering him a bite, which earns genuine praise. Arai then suggests they plan conversation club activities for the vacation. Kamanato, caught off guard, questions whether they'll really have club activities during their free days. He's opposed, but Amano supports the idea, and Kamiyama agrees, having no other plans. Before Kamanato can protest, Arai declares it's settled. Majority rules. Democracy, Kamanato thinks, is his personal nightmare. Kamanato suggests they focus on the club's weaknesses during the holidays. Arai praises it as a brilliant idea. The question now, what are their weaknesses? Kamiyama and Amano both point to shopping, leaving Kamanato puzzled about when shopping became a flaw. Amano explains to Kamanato that he doesn't understand. The issue is that shop staff always disappear when she needs help. She describes being distracted while talking to A-chan, only to find the staff gone when she turns around. Last time, it frustrated her so much she left and went home. Kamiyama shares a similar struggle. Her nervousness while shopping causes her to sweat, ruining items she touches and forcing her to buy them. A tragic tale of sweat-based consumerism. Plus, her mask has gotten her banned from several shops. They all huddle together to brainstorm, and Kamanato proposes they tackle this shopping issue during the vacation if everyone agrees. Kamiyama clarifies that she wants them to go clothes shopping together. At the mention of clothes shopping, Amano and Arai fall into deep thought, baffling Kamanato. Amano, irritated, accuses him of underestimating clothing shops, but he insists he's not, noting that staff there usually approach customers directly. Amano reveals her main struggle. Shop assistants' slick, persuasive tactics often coax her into purchasing items she doesn't want. Kamiyama, meanwhile, struggles with online orders due to her nervousness, often receiving clothes in the wrong size. Arai mentions that she can't speak properly with the staff. Kamanato finds the situation absurd. Amano adds that she finds some changing rooms terrifying, sharing rumors of women who enter and vanish. It's creepy, she admits, but humans scare her more than ghosts. At least ghosts don't push accessories on you. She then describes a girl who tries on clothes in changing rooms, posts pictures on social media, and leaves without buying anything. Kamanato, Kamiyama, and Arai freeze in terror, with Kamanato thinking this is the scariest story yet. They regroup, wondering if class shopping is premature. Kamanato checks with Kamiyama about needing clothes, encouraging her not to give up, but she insists she doesn't need more help today. Amano, gaining confidence, proposes they go for it and suggests the Crepe shop at the station behind the school. Arai loves the idea, noting it's perfect since it's a kitchen car, so Kamiyama won't face issues, and they won't need to deal with shop assistants since the staff are all women. Amano, laughing, confirms with Kamiyama if she likes crepes, and she nods enthusiastically. Kamanato admits buying sweets is one of his favorite activities, and they agree to visit after school. After school, Arai and Amano start warming up, surprising Kamanato, while Kamiyama adjusts her mask carefully. Kamanato, puzzled, inquires about Kamiyama's actions, and she explains it's her special paper bag, saved for this occasion. Arai and Amano praise its stylishness. Fully prepared, they launch into their club activity, though it feels more like a battle march. Somewhere, a drumbeat echoes faintly. Their march begins, with Kamanato wondering if they're truly heading to a crepe shop, and if so, whether the locals should clear the way. Nothing's more dangerous than a hungry club on a mission. After school, it's the first out-of-class activity of the Conversation Club. They head to the nearby store. Seeing the large crowd, Kamanato feels there's no chance they'll get any food. Deep down, he also prays nothing strange will happen. Clearly, he hasn't read this script before. Arai walks up to the menu and remarks that they should decide first. Immediately, everyone starts bickering over which flavor they like best. Watching them so invested, Kamanato stands blank, his mind locked on a single thought. He had forgotten that, after all, they're still just schoolgirls. Democracy never looked so chaotic. Arai then turns to Kamanato and inquires which flavor he would prefer. He replies that he doesn't have anything in particular, so he'll just go along with one of their choices. Hearing this, Amano blurts out something painfully awkward. She doesn't want that because people might assume the two of them are a couple. And that would mean an indirect kiss. Listening to her, Kamanato is completely dumbfounded, wondering what kind of layered nonsense she just came up with. High school logic, undefeated and incomprehensible. On the other side, when they glance at Kamiyama, she's drenched in sweat. Suddenly, Arai and Amano start wiping it off. Kamiyama explains she got nervous while trying to make her choice. Amano adds that she knows Kamiyama feels anxious when people are watching, which is why she herself talks to A-chan whenever this happens. After all these odd exchanges, Arai announces that she'll be the one to place the first order. In the middle of their chatter, Arai slips away and comes back with a dessert already in hand. She declares it proudly, leaving everyone stunned. How did she manage that so fast? On their imaginary scoreboard, their team secures the first point. Amano accepts this challenge and vows that it's her turn. She'll get her custard pudding special just as quickly. Meanwhile, Kamanato can't make sense of any of this nonsense. Speedrunning dessert apparently counts as a sport now. Then Amano boldly announces she's going without A-chan. The rest of the group is shocked. What on earth is she doing? But brimming with confidence, she insists they'll see for themselves just how daring she is. Confidence, 100, strategy, still loading. She goes straight to the shopkeeper and introduces herself as his client. He compliments her, saying she's cute, and because of that, he'll give her a discount. Then he throws out the name of a difficult dish. Just hearing it makes Amano panic. Her own choice won't even come out of her mouth. In the end, she's forced to accept the dessert the shopkeeper recommends. On the scoreboard, the shopkeeper secures his first point. Flirting, 1. Amano's game plan, 0. Next, it's Kamiyama's turn. Amano urges her to take revenge. Kamiyama declares she'll defeat the Crepe man and explains her plan. When she goes to the kitchen car, her height is taller than the counter, so her face will be above it. That means she'll stick 2 stickers on her t-shirt. Hearing this, Amano is thrilled, because she knows doing that will make Kamiyama look like a cute little Hyoko. Kamanato, on the other hand, grows even more anxious. What kind of absurd strategy is that? It'll never work. But just then, Kamiyama returns with her favorite dessert in hand, scoring another point for their team. The sight shocks Kamanato, while Amano proudly insists her plan worked. He thinks that since he's last one, there shouldn't be any difficulty for him. Yet the moment he steps forward, his coin slips from his hand, drops to the ground, and rolls straight under the car. Gravity has entered the chat. As he bends down to retrieve it, Kamiyama suddenly appears. She grabs the car from one side and lifts it into the air. Kamanato goes into full panic. How did she manage to lift the car like that? She picks up the coin for him and hands it over, and he thanks her in disbelief. Apparently, dessert shopping doubles as weightlifting practice. When Kamanato finally reaches the counter, he sees the Crepe man upside down. Concerned, he asks if he's alright. The man suddenly flips upright and says he's fine, clutching his arm as he explains there's a problem with his right arm. Surprised, Kamanato questions what the issue is. The Crepe man tells him his right hand can only make one kind of dessert. Then, once again, he rattles off a long, complicated name and prepares it, leaving Kamanato no choice but to buy it. Nothing like medical drama mixed with pastry service. With that, the score between both sides evens out. Arai cheerfully announces the match is now a draw, but Amano insists that next time she'll win. Then she suddenly snaps at Kamanato, demanding why his dessert ended up matching hers. He explains it wasn't his fault, because it wasn't in his control. Destiny clearly ships them harder than they do. It's the weekend, and the streets of Japan are packed as usual. In the middle of that crowd, Kamanato feels extremely tense. He knew holidays meant big crowds, but he never imagined this many. He also realizes that reaching his destination looks much harder than expected. Tokyo, where personal space is just a rumor. In the crush of people, Kamanato starts to feel dizzy. Suddenly, he's stunned. The noise fades, and the crowd parts to make way in front of him. Just then, Amano's voice reaches his ears. She's talking to A-chan, and beside her stands Kamiyama, drenched in sweat. Apparently, sweat is her default fashion accessory. Seeing the two of them there brings Kamanato a wave of relief. In his heart, he thanks them, believing it's because of them the crowd cleared. He apologizes for being late, but Kamiyama quickly reassures him not to worry. They only just arrived. Still, judging by how soaked she is, Kamanato guesses they must have been waiting at least 30 minutes, since even her sweat is starting to turn into vapor. When you're one step away from becoming a human kettle. At that moment, Amano snaps at him, saying she was starting to worry some local serial killer had already taken him out. Kamanato, surprised, tries to thank her, but gets stomped by her. Amano hurriedly denies it, insisting it's nothing like that. She only cares because he's her club member. Then Kamanato asks where Arai is, and Kamiyama replies that she hasn't shown up yet. Nothing says friendship like casual murder jokes. And then Arai arrives, apologizing as she explains she couldn't decide what to wear. Kamanato, baffled, points out that she came in a uniform. But Arai corrects him, saying it's not a uniform, it's her casual clothes. Seeing her dressed like that, everyone falls silent. Fashion police have officially resigned. Arai explains that what she's wearing is actually her holiday outfit, while her regular day uniform is different. Still, none of them sees much difference. Panicking, Kamanato asks why she doesn't try wearing normal clothes. She pauses, realizing she's never even thought about that before. To end the awkward exchange, Amano declares they should get started on their club activity. Just then, Kamiyama appears at Kamanato and asks if he's okay, since his face looks like that of an old man. Nothing boosts morale like being told you've aged 40 years overnight. With that, they begin their mission. Sitting at a distance, they keep watch over a shop, treating the situation like a covered operation. This time, they're determined not to lose the way they did at the crepe stand. Kamiyama and Amano both whispered to Arai that they have their own strategies for how they'll handle things inside. Spies, but make it middle school level. As soon as they enter, Kamanato suggests they sort through the items they need. He assumes nothing strange will happen, until suddenly, the shop assistant materializes in front of him. She inquires what they're looking for and whether they'd come during the holidays for anything beyond club activities. Arai explains they're actually here for a club project. The shop assistant tells them if they need help, they can call her anytime, then vanishes again. Shop assistants, masters of teleportation. After she leaves, Kamanato breathes a little easier and thinks about how these shop assistants always seem to have an answer for everything. Their communication skills are remarkable. Then his eyes land on Kamiyama, who's standing there with a hat. Seeing her like that excites him, since it's the first time he's ever seen her wear one. A hat sighting, truly a historic moment. But when she lifts her head, he notices she's also wearing a face mask, this time with cartoonish expressions drawn on it. The sight startles him. He had expected Kamiyama to come up with something clever instead. Just then, he wonders where Amano has gone, while Kamiyama tries to steady herself. Mask fashion is literally looking like Cursed Edition. And then Amano's voice surfaces. Looking closer, Kamiyama realizes she's hiding under Kamiyama's coat, running with a 2-in-1 coat strategy. Meanwhile, the shop assistant keeps pressing them for opinions on her recommendations, while Kamiyama notices Amano secretly handling everything from behind Kamiyama's back. The art of shopping, now with puppetry. She can't manage to answer the shop assistant's questions and simply keeps nodding. At that point, Kamiyama steps in and advises her to choose something herself. She asks if they have the same item in pink. The shop assistant replies that they do and promises to bring it out, then shows another shirt that instantly captures Amano's attention. Plot twist. Fashion sense unlocked. Hiding behind Kamiyama, she quietly stretches out her hand, grabs the shirt, and slips outside with it. Kamiyama praises her, saying she actually managed to buy exactly what she wanted and did a good job. Arai also commends her, declaring she came out victorious from this fight. But she feels uneasy because in her view she didn't really do much. She only replaced A-chan with Kamiyama, and the rest of the process stayed the same. Nothing screams victory like outsourcing your entire strategy. To lift her spirits, he tells her he's glad she bought the color she truly wanted. Amano looks at the shirt and feels genuinely pleased. She says she really enjoyed all of this and wants to thank him because it was thanks to him that she managed to pull it off. She adds that she'll treasure this moment deeply. Hearing her words, Kamiyama freezes on the spot. Emotional ambush, successful. Kamiyama also applauds her, but Amano insists it's Kamiyama's turn now. She should give it her all. Kamiyama replies that she'll handle this challenge easily, keeping Amano's teachings in her chest. Then she heads into the shop while the others hope she returns as the winner. Meanwhile, Kamiyama asks Amano what suddenly happened to her. She answers with a straight face that she doesn't even have a chest to store the lessons she's learned. Self-roast level. Brutal. A quick recap of what's happened so far. Our 4 warriors have stepped into a clothing store for their conversational club activity. Here, Amano has already cleared her first challenge with success. Now the spotlight shifts. It's Kamiyama and Arai's turn to face their trials, because nothing screams warrior like mall shopping. Kamiyama thinks that if any trouble comes up during shopping conversations, Arai will surely handle it, but the real issue lies with Kamiyama. He walks over and asks if she's doing all right. From the look on her face, it doesn't seem so. Her face basically filed a complaint already. She admits that last time Amano was with her, but now she feels she'll get nervous. To ease her worries, Kamiyama hands her a pair of rubber gloves. The moment she slips them on, her face brightens, relieved she can pick anything without soaking it in sweat. Sweat-proof fashion, the new revolution. But he suddenly grows tense. What he thought was a clever idea might backfire. He knows the shop staff won't let this slide. Nervously, he urges her to take off the gloves before they attract attention. Nothing says stealth like neon rubber gloves in a boutique. Just then, a man's voice chimes in, saying the gloves look perfect on her hands and he doesn't dislike the style at all. Kamiyama spins around startled until the person introduces himself as the shop's designer. He immediately begins chatting with Kamiyama, showering her with sweet compliments, even mentioning he might use her idea for his next fashion line. Before leaving, he wishes her good luck with her shopping. Accidental trendsetter, unlocked. After all this, she feels delighted that a designer praised her. In Kamiyama's mind, fashion designers always had a completely different image. Even while holding his card, he keeps wondering about the kind of design he used for it. She tells Kamiyama she's feeling much more confident now and thanks him for his help. He nods and replies that he'll check on Arai. Confidence, sponsored by Sweat and Rubber. When Kamiyama goes over to Arai, he asks if everything is okay, but she looks confused since she can't figure out anything beyond uniforms. Kamiyama suggests she pick clothes that make her look as beautiful as possible. But Arai explains she's very conscious about clothes and never wants to be irresponsible, because she doesn't know how to keep them happy, how to feed them, or how to take them for a walk. Apparently, clothes are now high-maintenance pets. Kamiyama asks Arai if she's interacted with Amano's clothes, and she says yes, noting they look like a uniform but aren't, since the school allows students to wear whatever they want. He recalls Amano asking why people wear uniforms if they have freedom. Kamiyama answers simply, it's just easier. That leaves Arai surprised, realizing that if she doesn't converse outside the uniform, it's her own fault. Kamiyama confirms she's right. Minimal effort, humanity's true dress code. He advises that if she treats every regular piece of clothing like a uniform, it might be easier to converse with them. Arai imaginarily shoots a laser from her eyes, making all the clothes look like uniforms, then remarks she should learn a bit more about normal clothes. Kamado likes the idea, and Arai promises to give her best. Superpowers, but only useful in retail. Not long after, Kamado starts feeling drained, and suddenly he hears some girls whispering about a strange, frightening girl wearing a hat with soaking wet legs. Hearing this makes him panic. Realizing they're talking about Kamiyama, he worries that her shopping isn't finished yet, and she might be stuck in some real trouble. Kamiyama, already a local urban legend. His eyes fall on her, whose mask, painted with cartoon expressions, is soaked in sweat, making her look downright eerie. Even the salesperson at the counter looks spooked. Kamiyama is trembling, nothing seems to be going right, and Kamado's panic spikes. Horror movie casting, right on schedule. He approaches Kamiyama gently and murmurs that her mask is melting and she should change it. She glances at him, realizing she had used paint, which must be causing it. Meanwhile, the girls whispering about her creep closer, one admitting she's scared Kamiyama might curse her. Kamado, knowing these girls will only stir more trouble, turns to confront them directly, because nothing diffuses gossip like summoning a cursed subplot. He warns them that if they see Kamiyama, they'd better run, because he doesn't know what might happen to them. Waving the designer's card, he advises them to take it home and sprinkle a little salt for protection. One girl pales while the other freezes on the spot. Salt, ancient weapon of Mall defense. Then both of them go completely frantic when Kamiyama suddenly slips right in front of them, gliding without moving her feet. To them, it looks inhuman. Terrified, they bolt, while Kamiyama herself panics as she slides uncontrollably from sweat. Kamado sighs in relief as the trouble finally clears. Behold, the world's first haunted slip and slide. A little while later, the girls finish their shopping. Kamado, completely exhausted and looking like a zombie, feels relieved that it's finally done. They proudly show him the items they bought, pieces they genuinely like. Victory smells like shopping bags and trauma. A little later, they all chat among themselves, celebrating that their conversational club activity ended in a perfect victory, though Amano still admits she finds it quite challenging. Then they notice Kamado's worried, worn-out face and ask what's wrong. He apologizes, admitting he couldn't do any shopping for himself, which makes everyone upset. He ruined the perfect victory of their conversational club. One man single-handedly tanking team morale with empty hands. Still, they cheer him up, reminding him that victory is victory. Even if he didn't manage it this time, he can try again next time. Kamado confesses that things went pretty horribly from his perspective, yet he still feels it's his fault. Amano laughs, mocking him as Trashinato. Kamado steps back, and Arai mentions that her and Amano's train is arriving on the other side, so they'll see both of them at school. Nothing like being called garbage before a cheerful goodbye. Kamado then asks Kamiyama where she lives, and she explains she came by bus. Kamado suggests they split ways, but she stops him and pleads that if he has a little time, she wants to show him a cloth, though she actually means stationery. Kamado feels a spark of happiness and agrees to go with her. Romance powered by stationery errors. She takes Kamado to the paper bag wrapping corner. Seeing so many varieties there makes her beam, and she tells him she always wanted to buy paper bags that look good when carried and seem a bit fashionable. Kamado comments that the packer she bought today will suit her perfectly, because nothing screams fashion like customized paper bags. Hearing this, Kamiyama admits the real reason for buying it. If she didn't have a paper bag, she could still manage her situation with it. Then she suddenly lifts her entire shirt over her head like a bag, but the sight of her body makes Kamado break out in sweat. After explaining, she lowers her shirt again, while Kamado's heart pounds furiously. Kamiyama apologizes for dragging him there and says she'll finish her shopping quickly. Kamado reassures her she can handle it easily and adds that he'll grab something for himself too. She thanks him and begins browsing for her paper bag. Kamado thinks to himself that this is the same Kamiyama who got nervous when he just looked, and now she's shopping right in front of him, fully aware he's watching. He finds it incredible, and it brings him a quiet joy. Meanwhile, his eyes land on a sticker pack, and the character on it fills him with delight. Peak romance, stickers, and panic sweats. After finishing, Kamiyama leaves with a pile of paper bags. Kamado asks what she'll do with so many. She admits she has no idea when she'll visit again and worries it might feel awkward, stressing she doesn't want to drag club members under the cover of a club activity. Kamado clarifies that it's not a club activity, but he can come with her in private. The word private makes her freeze in panic. The P word, stronger than any curse. Blushing heavily, she grows flustered, which surprises Kamanato. He quickly explains that by private he didn't mean anything serious, just that they could go shopping as normal friends. Kamiyama struggles to compose herself, but he can't help feeling he's ruined the mood. Smooth recovery, not achieved. To lighten things, he takes Kamiyama's hand and offers her the sticker pack, saying he found it in the shop and remembered she liked that character. She thanks him. It's exactly what she had been looking for. She promises to pay him back sometime. Kamanato agrees, but warns her not to repeat what happened with the last juice incident. Trauma from one spilled juice. Everlasting. Embarrassed, she shouts back that she didn't do it on purpose, while Kamanato observes quietly. Then she pulls a sticker from the pack and sticks it onto her paper bag, asking if it suits her. Fashion show, starring adhesive art. Kamanato gives her a thumbs up, assuring her she looks great. Kamiyama beams, admitting she thinks her behavior in the shop may have frightened the shop assistant and other customers, and she feels that because of this sticker, people might be less scared of her next time. Stickers, cheaper than therapy. After all this, she thanks Kamanato and heads home with a sticker pack, promising to see him at school. On his way back, he overhears some girls gossiping about Kamiyama and the incident in the shop. High school tabloids never sleep. He thinks this isn't good, because the rumor will spread like wildfire, and gradually Kamiyama may stop wearing the hat she relies on. When he arrives at the station, boards his train, and sits down, his thoughts linger on Kamiyama. From his perspective, she isn't at fault. She's actually a very good girl. He recalls what she said after placing the sticker. Public opinion. Undefeated final boss. Kamanato reflects that because of Kamiyama's appearance, people often misunderstand her, and the incident in the shop seems troubling. Still, he remembers her words, knowing there might be times she doesn't want to remove her mask. Apparently masks now come with emotional DLC. But he hopes one day will come when Kamiyama faces the world without it, laughing freely, and he wonders what it is that makes her feel so compelled to keep using the paper bag. Nothing like ending a heartfelt scene with an eco-friendly mystery. The next day, Kamanato arrives at school, restless, but Mondays always feel depressing to him. He knows he's reached school, yet he wishes there were a way to head back home, because the rain has made everything messy and troublesome. Classic Monday, already over it before homeroom. As he removes his shoes, he thinks about how his socks are a little wet, annoying, though manageable. He realizes he didn't bring an umbrella since it would only protect his upper body, and he avoided a coat because it would look embarrassing once soaked. The hall already feels gloomy to him, just as he hears his name being called. Strategic choice. Embrace soggy misery instead of fashion crimes. It's Kamiyama's voice. She greets him with a good morning and mentions that it feels like it's going to rain all day, which she dislikes. Kamanato realizes the rain is a source of gloom for her too. Then he notices her face is covered by the bag she got from the convenience store. New season, new look. The plastic bag edition. Kamiyama panics, quickly hiding herself, and insists it's not what he thinks, so he shouldn't stare. She explains that the paper bag gets wet in the rain, which is why she draped a shopping bag over it. Seeing her state, Kamanato pulls a cloth from his bag and offers it, telling her he knows this is all quite troublesome for her. She thanks him, calling him a lifesaver, and drapes the cloth over herself. Kamanato is surprised that even her clothes are damp, but he's more concerned about her face when suddenly Arai arrives. Nothing like surprise third-wheel timing. Kamanato greets her, and Arai confidently points out that Kamiyama's bag is acting as an anti-rain measure, leaving him amazed at her bizarre insight. Kamiyama admits she's right but feels embarrassed since the bag is transparent. Arai wonders aloud how something could be strong enough to withstand rain yet still keep Kamiyama's face hidden inside. Arai, casually reinventing waterproof philosophy. Then Arai asks how the bucket will stay in place. Kamiyama is astonished, while Kamanato is equally impressed by her imagination. Kamiyama even pictures herself inside a bucket, explaining that it's strong enough to hold during rain, though it doesn't look perfect to her. He thinks that if this idea spreads, a new urban legend might be born. Urban Legends, now sponsored by Home Depot. Arai then suggests putting a giant bucket over Kamiyama, and they all start imagining what she'd look like inside one. Kamiyama herself thinks it might be secure, but Kamanato cuts them off, telling them to change the subject. Brainstorm session derailed straight into Clown Town. He brings up the paper bag idea again, wondering aloud what if they made it waterproof. Kamiyama is stunned by the suggestion. He explains there are plenty of online videos showing how to do it, but seeing her calm reaction, Kamanato thinks the idea might not be necessary. Kamiyama still thanks him and says she'll give it a try. Then class begins. DIY waterproofing. YouTube solves what science can't. During the lesson, Kamanato reflects that Kamiyama has changed a lot. She's grown more capable, yet he still wonders about the secret behind her constant paper bag. He wants to ask, but seeing her embarrassment, he decides it's better to wait until she reveals it herself. Translation: too scared to poke the paper bag bare. After school, he gathers the club for a meeting in the classroom and notices that today Amano is also wearing a mask like Kamiyama. Seeing them all seated together, he begins the session. Suddenly it's a masked ball, but cheaper. First he looks at Amano and comments that she's too small to copy Kamiyama's influence. She stands, demanding what he means, but Kamanato clarifies he's talking about her height. That makes Amano furious, and she starts blurting awkward, weird remarks. In the midst of it, she bumps into his podium and topples to the ground. Roasted, rattled, and wrecked. Speedrun edition. The commotion flips the atmosphere, and everyone rushes to her. They ask if she's okay, but she mutters she doesn't know how many times she's going to fall today, leaving everyone stunned. Gravity, Amano's true arch-nemesis. Their shock isn't only from her words, it's her face. Amano has drastically changed her hairstyle. The moment she realizes everyone has noticed, she starts sweating and instinctively covers her head with her hands. Plot twist. New hair unlocks panic mode. Then she lashes out, demanding why he's staring. Kamanato explains he's just looking at her head. Arai immediately pieces it together, asking if it's because of the humidity. Amano nods, explaining that in the rainy season her curly hair always gets messy, so she thought maybe copying Kamiyama would make her day easier. Copy-paste fashion. Control+C, Control+cringe. Arai then asks if the cuts on her hands are from handling the paper bag. Amano admits managing it is tough, but she adds that Kamiyama's courage gives her strength. Kamiyama offers to train her on how to handle a paper bag in public. Kamanato cuts in before they can declare this an official activity, saying he doesn't want everyone ending up with cuts like hers. Imagine explaining to the nurse, "We were training with paper bags." Meanwhile, Amano blushes, admitting she'll need to find a solution for her messy hair. Kamanato reassures her that she doesn't need to hide it, because she looks like a national idol. Hearing that, Amano scolds him not to say such things in front of everyone, leaving Kamanato astonished. Flirting detected. Immediately denied. She then says with a touch of confidence that maybe she shouldn't hide herself, because she's cute just the way she is. Kamanato agrees, while Arai mutters that she just wants to go home and doesn't want to get involved in this silly, troublesome mess. Arai, patron saint of I'm over this. Hearing that, Amano calls Kamanato Trashinato and gags him, then asks if he wants her to explain what this shitty, troublesome situation really means. Kamanato, still dazed, turns to Arai and asks why she seems so sharp today. She replies that she's planning to include the uniform in her next activity, though Kamanato silently wishes she wouldn't. Foreshadowing, more uniform drama inbound.
Here I am, know it's been a while.